Welcome, players and fans of the NPA LRL. We've got the post-Week 8 power rankings coming at you right now. We're going to get right into it. Coming in at number 14, I'm sure you can guess who it is. We've got the Inverse Oreos. No shock here. They actually played their past 3 weeks. That's good. They lost, and they lost. They're 0-8 on the season. They are last in every offensive stat except three-pointers made, attempted, and three-point percentage. They're last in points allowed, net scoring, and net rebounding. Still, they have no climb. They were 14th last week, so no change in their ranking. This team is a free W for any team that plays them. Look, they can barely break 30. They're terrible. 13, we got the Nawf. They're moving down. They were previously 12th in the rankings. They lost to the Bulls. They lost to the Joes. They blew a 31-13 and a 42-32 lead in the same game. How, Nawf, how are you allowing this to happen? And then they got a bye, luckily. They're 1-6 on the season. Third in blocks per game, third in steals per game. They're tied for fifth in net rebounds per game. Dylan has 2.86 blocks per game, which is second in the league, and 2.71 steals per game, which is also second in the league. He's making a strong case at Defensive Player of the Year. He's clearly the MVP for this team as he gets no help alongside him. Jaden and Chris are they got their thumbs up their ass half the time. They're 13th. Number 12, we got the Ball Slingers, and they're moving on up again. They were previously 13th. If they keep up what they're doing at this rate, they could be number one. Probably not, but who knows? They beat the Inverse Oreos, like I said, free W, lost to the Bulls and the Helens. They're 2-6 on the season. They're first in assists per game, and they're tied for 10th in 3 points made per game. This team just doesn't really have what it takes to win. They're not too great. There's not much I have to say about them. They're 12th. Number 11th, we got the Cool Gray. They got no change. They were 11th in the last power rankings. They beat the Helens. They lost to the Purple Cacti and lost to the Toilet Paper Rolls. They're 3-5 on the season. They're 4th in steals per game, 11th in three-point percentage, 10th in field goal percentage, and Baker is scoring 21.43 points per game, which is 9th in the league. After going 1-2 in the past 3 weeks, my thoughts about this team have not changed one bit. Baker still has no help. Their three-point percentage is dragging them down, I feel like, and they just need to be putting the ball in the basket more efficiently. And Ryan, as much as he is my favorite player in the league, isn't helping him do so. Neither is Xavier. Team's 11. Number 10, we got the Toilet Paper Rolls. They're moving down. They were previously 8th in the last rankings. They lost to the Purple Cacti, lost to Blu3 Men Group, and beat Cool Gray, which brings them to 4-4 on the season. This is where the craziness starts happening, people, and we're going to get to it. They're 4th in assists per game. They're tied for 3rd in field goal percentage, and they're 13th in net rebounds per game. Tony, he was leading the charge for this team. He got 24.5 points per game, which is 4th in the league, 2.88 steals per game, which leads the LRL. We got a solid team on our hands. Tony, of course, he's a scorer. He puts the ball in the basket for this team. Damsky, like I said, always a perfect right-hand man to this guy. Tim, Rallen, jumper, efficient. Not really, but whatever. This team is good. They're going to win some games. They're going to lose some games. I got them at 10th right now. Number 9, we got the Helens. They're moving up. Let's go. They were previously 10th. Last week, they lost to Cool Gray. They beat the Buckets R Us. They beat the Ball Slingers, which brings them to 4-4 on the season. They are 2nd in three-point percentage, but last in three-point attempts per game. So when they shoot the three ball, it's going in the basket. They're 4th in net rebounds per game, and Justin, 29.75 points per game, which is 2nd in the league, and 39% from 3, which is 3rd in the league. This guy is trying to do it all for his team, but he's still coming up short. I know they went 2-1 in the past 3 weeks, but will they beat the higher tier teams? And I don't think they can. They just don't have what it takes. Justin can't score 50 points in a game, which he might need to do so to beat some of the higher ranked teams in this league. Number 8, we got Buckets R Us, and they are falling. They were previously 4th, and we have witnessed in the past 6 weeks the rise and the fall of this team. They lost to Blu3 Men Group, lost to Helens, lost to the Bulls, which brings them to 4-4. They were our first in steals per game. They're tied for 3rd in field goal percentage, tied for 4th in three-point percentage, and 3rd in assists per game. This team went from hero to zero. They were on the top of the LRL rankings. Well, they were 4th, but they were one of the more favorable teams in the league. And then they sold like that. They're dropped. Again, another 4-4 team. Don't worry, we're not done with those, because at number 7 we got 2 Greeks, 1 Freak. They're also falling. They were previously 5th in last week's rankings. They lost to the Joes. They forfeited another game, and they beat the Inverse Oreos. Free W, bringing them to 4-4, another 4-4 team. They got the lineup of Dimitri, James, and Colin is 3-1. They're first in opponent 2-point percentage and field goal percentage, 3rd in points allowed, and they're tied for last in 3-point percentage. The defensive team of James, Dimitri, and Colin still got the clamps on them, although they have to forfeit a lot of games, which really putting themselves in the coffin 6 feet deep. But, this team is on another middle-of-the-pack team. They're going to beat some good teams, but they're going to also beat some bad teams. They could lose to some bad teams, too. You never know, which is why I got them at 7, middle-of-the-pack, where they belong. Number 6, we got the Joes. They're moving on up. They were previously 9th in last time's power rankings. They beat 2 Greeks, 1 Freak, beat the Nawf. They lost to the Carts, which brings them to 4-4. They're 3rd in 3-point percentage, tied for 3rd in opponent 3-point percentage. Luke, who is leading the offensive charge for this team, he's got 25 points per game, which is 3rd in the league. And Michael, who's being the catch-and-shoot guy he is, 33% from 3, which is tied for 4th in the league. This team is they're putting the ball in the basket really well, I'd like to say. Luke, he's being a beast this season. He could be an MVP, but probably not. He's leading the team. They're sitting pretty at the 6th spot. There's a lot of 4-4 teams in this league, so they're going to have to win a nice stretch of games to finish in the playoffs. Number 5, we got the Reggie Carts. They're also moving on up. They were previously 7th. They had to forfeit a game to the Moneygrabbers. They won via forfeit, and then they beat the Average Joes. So they went 2-1 after only playing 1 game in the past 3 weeks, which brings them to 4-4. What's new? Another 4-4 team. Sean, who's the man for this team, he's got 24 points per game, which is 5th in the league. 17.5 rebounds per game, which is 3rd in the league. And Dylan, 21.7 points per game, which is 7th. They're tied for last in 3-point percentage. And if the video showed the missed shots, you could see why. Because Dylan is still just fucking letting that thing eat. He's got the green light all game, and I think one of his teammates maybe needs to give him a yellow because they're first in 3-point attempts per game. But they're also 3rd in 3-pointers made per game. So, yeah, he's shooting 30 a game, but he's making 7 to 8. They're tied for 2nd in net rebounds per game. The thing about this team is they're a good team, and they could be a great team if Sean took offensive charge and maybe Dylan started giving up the three ball a little bit and dishing the ball to Sean so they can get more easier buckets and win more games, put the ball in the basket more efficiently, win more games. This team could be great. 4, we got the Blu3 Men Group. They're also moving on up. They were previously 6th. They beat Buckets Are Us. They beat the TP Rolls and lost to Purple Cacti, which brings them to 5-3 on the season. This team is 2nd in assists per game, 2nd in opponent three-point percentage, and tied for 2nd in net rebounds per game. This team has got a nice set of builds. They got Noah, a shooter, Zach, a big man, and Bilal is kind of your defender, do-it-all type guy for you. This team, sometimes I can't tell if they're good or not, but I think at this moment they're a good team. They're a solid team. They're going to score. They're going to play defense. Probably end up in the playoffs. We're going to find out. They're number 4 for right now. Number 3, we got the Moneygrabbers. They're moving down. They were previously 1 in the past 2 power rankings. They won via forfeit. They beat the Inverse Oreos, free W, and they've had to forfeit a game, which brings them to 5-3. The lineup of their true lineup of Allen, PJ, and Drew is 3-0. They're first in 2, 3, and field goal percentage. First in three-pointers made per game. They're first in points allowed per game. So this team, offensively, they are the best team in the league. They like to forfeit an amount of games, and I hear one of their main 3 players is currently dealing with a sprained ankle, so I don't know how that's going to affect them on the season. That's why I got them moving down, because that true lineup is still not going to be in play. They're number 3. Moving on to number 2, we got the Purple Cacti. They're moving up from the 3 spot because this team is red hot. They beat the Rolls, beat Cool Gray, beat Blu3 Men Group. They're unstoppable right now. They're 6-2. They're first in net rebounds. They are plus 17.25 rebounds, which leads the league, versus the 2nd in the league, which is plus 4.5, which is absolutely ridiculous. They're tied for 3rd in three-point percentage. Lath, 26.4 rebounds per game, leads the league. Last season, he was 22.4 rebounds per game. He's having an MVP-type season. That dude is an absolute menace. Alec has 20.5 points per game, which is 12th in the season, and he's being the perfect right-hand man to Lath, because if Lath can't score the ball, Alec's going to do it for him. Last season, he had 12.4 points per game. Are we seeing the most improved player? As of right now, I think so, yes. Hope to find out what we can see at the end of the season. Right now, I got this team at number 2. They're red hot. And number 1, back in the number 1 spot, we got the 98 Bulls. They're moving up from the 2 spot. This team's also red hot. They beat the Nawf, beat the Ball Slingers, beat Buckets Are Us. They're 6-1. They're 6-0 in their last 6. They have 51.2 points per game in the last 6 games. They're 2nd in two-point percentage. And Nick, who has been claimed the GOAT of the LRL, 30.14 points per game, which leads the league. 16 rebounds per game, which is 5th in the league. He is a walking highlight reel, a future first ballot Hall of Famer. He's unstoppable. This team right now is unstoppable. That's why they're number 1. Thank you everyone for watching. Sub to the channel. Turn on post notifications.